Hey guys, today I have a monitor that's not turning on. It's a ViewSonic VP3881. It's one of the curved monitors, and it just doesn't turn on. You push the button, nothing happens. So what I'm going to do today is, I already got the part. I already know I think I know what's wrong with it. I went ahead and ordered it and got that. But I'm going to show you kind of how I got to that conclusion, and then also how I took this apart. Then that way you guys can repair this on your own if something like this comes up. The first thing you want to do is you want to take the base off. This is a huge base that's on here. It's clipped in, and basically right here underneath you just push up on here, and then it unclips and you take this out of the way. That's easy. So we've already done that. And then next thing you're going to do is you're going to take off four screws from the back, from here. These four little Phillips screws. We'll take those off. And then you want to be real careful in this next step. So I already has this cover off. But what you want to do is you kind of want to get under here and find an area where you can kind of get in. Usually like right here. There's one little spot here. You can take a little, like either a screwdriver or a little plastic tool right there, and then you want to pop that area there, and then do the same thing on the opposite side. Kind of pop that there, and then just be real careful, and then just kind of try to work your way. There's little plastic, like little tabs every 2 or 3 inches. You want to kind of pop those. It's going to be a little bit hard because it kind of wants to set back down, and then try to work your way to the side over here, and then kind of start almost like pushing in and pulling up like that. You're kind of pushing and pulling up until you get it all pried off. Now once you got it nice and loose and pried off, you don't want to just yank it and pick it up. You want to be real careful as you're lifting it up. Now, because we're going to have basically the part that I believe is bad, which is this little, I think it's called a key function power button strip. This piece is actually mounted over here. So what we're going to want to do is, this one had like a little piece of tape. You want to pull it back. You want to take off these 3 little screws. These 3, I put them back on here so I want to lose them. They're really, really tiny. So you take those 3 little screws off, and you're going to pull that strip off. Let's move this to the side. And then basically what we're going to have is, we're going to have this exposed like this, with the ribbon plugged into the side of this board here. Okay. Now, if you take your time, if you have really good vision, there's like a little black tab. So right in here, that little black piece, you're supposed to be able to like pop it out, and then the other side, same thing, kind of pry it a little bit. It doesn't come completely out. And then basically the ribbon, which is plugged in right here, like this, comes out. If you can get it out like that, the job is super easy. I couldn't get it off from there. So I had to do the next thing, which is basically to take this whole piece off, okay? And what you do is you got to pull this little tape here, and there's another tape on this side, and then take off all the little screws that are all the way around, okay? Now, I thought I left this exposed where I wouldn't have to do it again, but see if I can grab a little screwdriver, make this easier. Because this could be a real easy repair if that were the case, because if not, then we would have to take all this apart. But in my case, I did take everything apart. And if you do that, then this is what we need to do. We're going to need to take this all back apart. The reason I have to take it apart again and not just try to insert it there is that when I pulled these screws here, these 4 screws that are on top, when I took those off, they're attached to heat sinks, okay? So those heat sinks came off of the bottom of that. And I'll show you right now when I take that apart. And when you do that, you need to clean them, and then you got to put some of that white paste on those heat sinks. So I can't just put that ribbon back. I mean, I can, but I run a potential of something heating up right here and then something else getting damaged. I don't want that to happen. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do exactly what I did. So assuming that I had just had this plugged in here like this, and this is off, we're gonna go ahead and pull this back. We're gonna pull this back. You're gonna wanna unplug this harness down here. And because we're gonna flip it over, so we don't want a lot of this stuff attached when we're moving stuff, because these wires are really, really thin. So what you wanna do is just push down on that and then just kind of wiggle the harness out, just like that, okay? And then over here on the side, we're just gonna wanna slide that wiring out of there and then go ahead and unplug the little harness that's on the side over here. And all you do is just jiggle that one out, just like that, okay? So that one and this one. It's pretty much all we're unplugging right there until we get it out. Then we're gonna unplug this other harness from the inside, just to be able to get to the board really good. So now we're gonna go ahead and take off our screws all the way around. You're gonna need like a thin Phillips screwdriver. And just kind of keep those in one spot. If you have like a little tray or something to put them on, it'd be ideal. So there's one here, there's one over here, there's two in the back. And then there's one over here on the side. Now, you probably want to use a magnetic screwdriver. Now make sure you're grounded when you're working on this before you start taking all this apart. You don't want to zap the board and mess something else up. So just make sure that you are grounded. So we're gonna go ahead and now, before I mean, I can actually lift this up, but I want to take these off because I want that board to come off as well. So we're gonna go ahead and just remove those. Now, like I said, if you could get that off on the side over here, then you won't have to take all this apart. I just couldn't seem to get it off without really messing anything up, and I didn't want to take a chance. So this is a little bit more work, but now I gotta do a little bit more work. So these ones go here, and then those ones go all the way around. So we're gonna go ahead and slowly turn the board. Now, this wiring here is attached, so we want to go ahead and kind of pry that down a little bit and then take that wiring out of this area here so that it drops down. And then I'm going to flip it over here so you can see. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and squeeze these two little tabs here so you can see that. Kind of squeeze on those right here. We're going to squeeze those two and just unplug that, okay, and just leave it right there. So basically this would still be attached over here on the side, okay? We're assuming like it was still attached. It's not attached right now, but I'm just saying we're pretending like it still is because it would normally be attached. Now, the last step would be to take off these 4 screws. So I'm going to go ahead and unscrew those. Now these ones are a little bit different style screw. I think it's called heat sink paste. Okay. Now I came to the conclusion that it was this because I had already tested the power supply and I had power coming out of the power supply. And then the funny thing is that when you were pushing the buttons on the back of the monitor, which are these buttons right here, all of these ones clicked except the power button. Well, it's kind of like an alarm remote, kind of similar to that. This piece here All of these ones you push in, they all click. But it was missing the little gold piece, which is basically the button for the power one. So that's kind of obvious. So I stopped there. I went ahead, I found the new ribbon and the board. Comes with the new ribbon and board. This comes all together as one piece. I found it on ViewSonic's website, which was really hard to find. I finally actually went to ViewSonic. I was looking aftermarket everywhere here and there, and I couldn't find it. So I found it there. I think that part was only like 10 bucks. The shipping was like 15. So I just went ahead and ordered it. So, okay, the next step is gonna be, we wanna slide the board, like, we wanna lift it up and we wanna slide it towards us so we can get it out of these grooves. Now, when we do that, right now the heat sinks are actually stuck onto the board, okay? That one just fell. This heat sink right here is attaches there, and then there's these little smaller ones, 1, 2, 3, that look like this. And then they have a rubber side that goes up against the board. So this has a little paste on it. So we want to make sure we put some more of that paste back onto there when we reattach it in these spots, okay? You could just put some on there. Most people say to clean it really good and then just add a little bit here, there, and there. And then, you know, when you put the board back, just be real careful when you're putting it back that these don't shift on you, okay? That's the hardest part to do, I think, in this job. Okay. So lastly, so this is laying like this. It's going down. I believe this goes in there like that, okay? And to get it out, you have to open up these two little black little tabs here, just like that and like that. So this normally would be in there like that, okay? And it would be locked down. You push that back down. So if you can take those little two pieces and move them, you wouldn't have to, and you would be able to slide out the ribbon, put the new ribbon in, clap it back in, and then put everything back together, and you're done. In my case, I could not get a little screwdriver in there to do that, and I was afraid I was gonna damage something. You don't wanna pull these out too far, because if you do, you'll break them, and then they won't lock into place. So in my situation, I had to do this here. I had to take more stuff apart. And then that way you can kind of see what's going on here anyways, in case you accidentally did that as well. So we're gonna go ahead and pull the ribbon out, just like if we're just doing this job right now. Gonna push this one aside. We're gonna grab the new ribbon. Whoa, is this the correct one? Well, that's weird. So, for whatever reason, the one that they sent us is a lot longer. It's a lot longer ribbon than the one that I have. It's way longer. The numbers and everything are exactly the same, but the ribbon itself is longer. So, I don't know why they do that. Maybe they do that so that you could attach it a lot easier on here. Maybe that's why. I'm not sure. But I'm not going to worry about that. We're just going to go ahead and reattach this. So we need to make sure to stick it in through the slot first. So let me see. It goes like this, goes like that. So the slot's going to be right here. I'm going to go ahead and put this through. Now these little things, they close right up on their own for some reason. It's when you're moving stuff around. So I'm gonna go ahead and attach that on there. We'll go ahead and push both sides at the same time. Lock it down into place. And then I'm gonna kind of move this to the side a little bit because I'm gonna go ahead and clean this up, and then we're gonna go ahead and put some more of that paste on there, okay? So I had some of this stuff laying around from the last time I worked on an Xbox. So it's actually called thermo grease. I forgot what it was called. For heat treat fans, better cooling. So got some of this stuff left over. We're gonna go ahead and I kind of put the packaging back on it so that I know what it is. This is what it looks like. Kind of gets everywhere. So we go ahead and now I'm not going to use a lot because there's not much here, you know, like I mean literally there's not a lot on there. So we don't want to add too much on here and then kind of makes it useless really. So since it is like a grease, you could just wipe it with a towel. Just clean it off. Clean it off of each piece. So we got those two. One of them stayed around here. And then this last one, I'm not going to try to take that one off. I'm just going to wipe it. That one's actually sitting on I think on the chip. So, two ways. You can either add some on here or put some on there. I'm going to put a little bit on both sides. I'm going to spread it on the whole thing. Put like a nice little thin layer on the whole thing. And then a nice little layer on the bottom here. Yeah, sometimes, at least when I worked on an Xbox one time, this paste ended up cracking on one of the heat sinks. One of these things that goes on there similar to this. And when it did that, it actually, the Xbox didn't want to, it went into the ring of death. So you would send it into Xbox, Xbox would charge you some money, and then they would basically reapply this stuff. They would have to take the whole unit apart, obviously, but they would reapply this thermal paste and get the unit working again. So I decided to fix that one myself, and I was able to get it to work. That was the start of a lot of repairs. Now, I don't do these repairs professionally. I do these on stuff that I have that's laying around, that doesn't turn on, doesn't work. And I kind of just work my way. Now, what we could do here, I think this is what I want to do. I want to screw those back in first. That way it makes it easier for that one. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, we're going to go backwards a little bit because I don't want to damage this ribbon. So we're going to do this. take the ribbon back out real quick. Slide that out. Get it out of the way real quick. Get that there. Now there was 4 screws there, which is basically these ones. So what I did last time is one by one, I just reattached them. Clean your fingers real good because that stuff gets everywhere. Now we're gonna put our ribbon back through here again. Okay, so once we got our these 3 heat sinks back on there, we want to reattach the ribbon. So when we have it right here, we're gonna go ahead and attach it, but the problem is we're gonna flip it. Once we flip that we're not gonna be able to turn the ribbon. It's gonna kind of get stuck right here. So we want to go ahead and turn the ribbon now. Like so. And then we're gonna turn the ribbon like this. And then we're gonna go ahead and put it back in here. Insert it nice and evenly, and then lock the 2 pieces down. Okay? Now we're gonna turn the whole board, which is now is turning our ribbon with it, so it sits flat, okay? So once we got the ribbon on there, then we're gonna wanna slide that part in, but we wanna first attach this ribbon here to make it easy for us, okay? So right here, see it right there. Attach that. Flip it over like we were doing. Guide that ribbon through. Guide that area through so that that ribbon is in there, okay? Once we got that part in, then we need to set this front end down. And we want to make sure that all the ports go through the holes. And just kind of give it a little snug put in. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and attach our 4 outer screws to the board. I hope this ribbon works, this part here, because it's really long. I think that makes a difference. It's just, maybe they make it for different monitors. I don't know. That part is the one that looks identical to the one I have. Okay, got that and that. I'm gonna go ahead and rotate this, which means this is gonna be back over here. Slide that under there. Might have to open it if it didn't let you put it in. Put it down. And then we want to make sure that we got all the other harnesses. This harness here too. Make sure that that is plugged in back in there. That it's also tucked right on there. So we're going to go and plug that in. Right on there. Make sure it snaps in. We'll do this one last. Make sure that that's tucked on there, and then push up on the little guide. So this tape has to sit up on top. There. And then lastly, you want to screw that one down. The last heat sink. Screw down the last heat sink gently so we don't push on it. Should we grab it? Good. Make sure that the wiring is tucked in on the back side over here, and that this sits completely flat. It was kind of sitting a little bit wobbly right now on me. And be mindful of this little wire right here. It just seems to keep wanting to come out. I don't know why. Good, we're good, we're good. The screws are all back in there. There's 2, 4, I think there's 6. Back down. Hopefully it stays down. And then we're going to go ahead and put the plug on back over here, and that's just the plug in. Like that. And then wrap this wire back on this little hook thing here, and then push it in so it holds the wire right there. So all that's pretty set. And then right now we're going to attach this piece back onto here. So this is supposed to sit like this. So we're going to flip it up like so that we can see what we're doing over here. And this piece here, that's the power button right there. So this goes like that. So the power button would be right here. So pull that tape back. I'm gonna go and take these screws off. I put them back on here just so I wouldn't lose them. Kind of to know where they go. So the part where the ribbon is goes towards the inside of the TV or monitor. And they line up just like that. And don't over tighten these. Just get them snug. This board is very, very thin. You don't want to crack it. As soon as you get to where it feels tight, stop. There we go. Put tape back over it. I don't know what the tape is for. And then this ribbon, we can actually tape it inside here if we want to. Just kind of tape it like that. Tape this down here so when it lays down, it kind of lays down in here. It has a lot of area in there, so I don't think I want to leave it flapping like this. So I might use some electrical tape. Kind of how they did right here. Just a little bit. Just to keep this ribbon from moving a lot. If this monitor gets moved around. I don't like these other kink like this, but that's probably it's made for like probably for a couple different monitors. That's the only thing I could assume. They made this for a different, maybe a bigger monitor? I don't know. But I'm just gonna tape it like that. I'm gonna tape one down right there to keep that from kind of getting pulled. It came down and I taped it down to there. Lay this back in here. Put the power plug in unless I have this thing closed. Wow. So let's slowly just try to put this back together. Make sure it's squarely aligned down there. Don't force it. It's not going in. Back off, reposition it. I'm going to test it real quick. I have it upside down, but hopefully it turns on. It worked! Sweet! It turned on. Don't have any feed in there, but I know it turned on. No signal, but it's working. Yay! All right, so let's go ahead and finish. Let's go ahead and unplug that. Finish putting the 4 screws that are left there. So that long ribbon, the only difference is it's probably made for another monitor, or they made it as a replacement, which to me I think it's easier because the other ribbon was kind of short. So when I was pulling off the cover, I had to be real super careful not to rip it. With that ribbon, now it's longer. You have a little bit more room to be able to take the cover off. And then let's go ahead and slide this back on there. Again, small area here. Okay, so I'm trying to hook up my little digital camera because I don't have anything else that has HD. There it is. All right, so I hooked it up to my little digital camera, and it's functioning. So we're good to go. Sweet. I'll put a link in the description. Well, actually, I'll just put in the description where I bought the parts, if you guys are interested in picking up a part for that. Thanks for watching.